today. And today we have a new guest. I'm very excited to delve into this topic. Dave Falconer is here from Nextminute, and he's going to be talking about how to run building and trade jobs like a champ. So he's going to do a little bit of some kind of knowledge based on how to do this, and then we're going to talk about what Nextminute has to offer as a solution. It's going to be a bit of this and that, and the best way for you to engage with this session would be to ask as many questions as you like, because that's what makes the sessions work for your business, and that's why we're here, is to make your business or help your business to grow. So depending on what channel you are with us on, you might be with us on Facebook or YouTube, or maybe you're joining with us live on Zoom or LinkedIn, possibly. Use the comment section chat function or Q&A function in order to pop your questions in and get Dave to answer them. So welcome, Dave. Thanks for joining us on Digital Boost. You're a noob to Digital Boost.
I am, and thank you very much for the welcome, and it's lovely to be here this morning.
Yeah, it's a whānau. We welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule today. We know you're super busy.
Excellent. So shall I share up my screen?
Yeah, I think that would be great. If you could go ahead and share your screen, I'll just make sure that's working for you.
How's that, team?
Yep, it looks perfect. I can see the bottom down there, but it doesn't affect the view, so it's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, look, well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming along and joining in on this session. The topic here is around running building and trade jobs like a champ. I'm Dave Falconer. I'm the general manager there, and I've been involved since basically the inception of the business. And look, my background, I would have done 15 years or so in software businesses prior to Nextminute. And a lot of that work was focused up into the corporate space, and that was really rewarding, helping larger businesses get organized. But what I really love about what I do now is the people I deal with own the business, run the business, do the payroll, and any benefit is actually directly attributed to them and their business and their families and the people they employ. And I think that's a really cool thing around what I do. So today, got a few things I'd like to cover off. So I'll give you a little bit of background around Nextminute and our story. I'll talk about some of the tools for the trade in regards to digital tools for trade businesses. I'll also look at the fact that I believe a lot of the foundations have been laid from a digital perspective. And really what we're talking about today is building on top of those foundations to improve your business. And fundamentally what that all kind of comes down to is making sure that you're getting the rewards or getting paid for what you do and all the hard work that you do, because you deserve it, I guess, is the key piece to it. At the end, I'll cover off some FAQs. So these would be the common questions that we would typically get when someone starts to look at Nextminute. Really brief product demo, and then hopefully we've got some time at the end to do some questions. Really enjoy questions, try and trip me up. Ask me lots of curly stuff. Don't ask me how to build a house. I wouldn't have a clue. So anyway, I just know the technology side. So what is Nextminute? Fundamentally, Nextminute is job management software, which is purposely built for builders and trade businesses so that they can run better and more efficient businesses. I guess the best way to think about it is it's like having a digital tool belt. So rather than putting on your tool belt with your hammer and your pencils and your rulers, or on top of that, this is one extra tool that you can put in your tool belt to help you track and manage all your jobs. One of the key things with how we talk about and think about job management is it's making sure that we connect in that data. And so when someone puts in some data like timesheets as an example, we want to make sure that we're adding value to that information so that you can see that for the different jobs you're working on. But also we want to be able to push and pull information across to other accounting packages that you may already have, like Xero and Myob. Reason being, that's going to be less manual work and making sure that you've got accurate information flowing. So the Nextminute story. Look, the founder, he was getting a big renovation done, and he had builders and plumbers and sparkies on site. And what he found was one of the hardest things to do was to get an invoice from them so he could pay them the money that they deserved. I know that sounds odd, but he was constantly reminding them, literally hassling them to go, can you send me that invoice? I want to pay you. Then when he'd get the invoice, it'd be on a piece of scrap paper, or, it would be inaccurate. So he'd have to continually go back and go, look, all I want to do is give you the money that you deserve for the work you've done. And then when he asked around, there weren't many options available specifically to builders anyway, that going to help them, give them what they need to track and manage all this stuff. And in his head, he was like, well, this should be something that you can just get done in the next minute, hence the name Nextminute. So several years of, building this product together, we partnered with placemakers pretty early, and that really gave us a great testing ground to interact with builders, so that we could test what we were doing, get a good understanding of how it works. But there were two sort of things that we really teed on. One was around making sure that the product had everything you need and kind of nothing you don't, from an end user perspective, but also to work alongside partners, bookkeepers and accountants or office administrators, to ensure that we have developed the correct flows between those different accounting packages. Fast forward now, look, things are really, really expanding quickly. So New Zealand, and Australia, and we're recently into the UK market. What we're finding really interesting is it's the same challenges no matter where you go. The main difference between, say, the UK and New Zealand, Australia is they're somewhat behind that adoption path. So whether you think about it or not, but you're actually ahead of the game. So if we look internationally speaking, New Zealand and Australian builders, tradesmen are actually quite far up that adoption curve. And that's really cool, because what it allows us to do is take on your feedback, from a customer perspective or with your partners, to ensure that we're developing features that are really going to enhance and improve your business administration. Now, look, I want to talk about tools for the trade, or tools for the job. And I guess where this slide and the next slide come from is, when I often talk to builders, they will come out and say something like, oh, well, I'm really hopeless with technology. I'm, bad on the computer and I don't know what to do. I've got sausage fingers, or I'm a technology dinosaur. I'm not very good with technology. And I guess what I'd like to do is counter that and say, well, I think you're really good with technology, and I think you're really good at adopting it. You just don't think about it in the same way as a computer. So if we look at something like a handsaw versus a circular saw, right? You wouldn't go on site now and see someone getting all their decking timber hand sawn. They would have a skill saw or circular saw, and they'd be using that to do, get all this product done. Now, circular saw is far more expensive. Obviously there's some issues with it, but the reason why that piece of technology is used is because it saves time, it improves the productivity, and ultimately it's more profitable when you've got that sort of technology on site. The thing is, you don't even think about that as technology. You just use it because it's just flowed through you. Same way with hammer and a nail gun. So it was about 40, 50 years ago a nail gun was invented, and pretty much everyone boo-hooed it because they were heavy, but clunky, used to jam. Nowadays, look, you wouldn't see a site without nail guns. It is very important to still have a hammer, really important to have those manual processes still in there, but a nail gun is there effectively to speed the job up, get a better outcome, and ultimately be more productive and make more money. So, those are just two very simple examples of technologies that you just adopt. There's many other things that are turning up over time. So my view is actually builders and tradespeople are really good at adopting technology. They just often don't think about computers and apps as a form of technology that they'd adopt. Now, it's a little bit on the nose, this one. So why would you even bother looking at something like this? Well, and I guess I like to speak to this because I find builders are straight shooters. So when I talk about this, I want to, talk very directly to it. The fact is, you can either do it like a champ or do it like a chump. You can get timesheets done on paper, have them fly out your ute door. You get your guys to send them in via text message, got all your material costs, subby costs, disbursements, all of this paper and manual process coming in. Okay, so you can do it that way. And in fact, a lot of people have done it and continue to do it. But your outcome's going to look along the lines of that desk on the right-hand side. It's stressful. You're going to miss something, can leak money, and it's just bloody painful stuff that you've got to do over and over and over again. So I'd like to suggest that there is actually a far better way to do this. The other piece to this is most businesses that I come across now, builders, trades, they will have Xero or Myob to deal with their general ledger and their accounting. Okay, so you've actually already done that first piece of adoption, and that's really cool. And often that would have been done with the likes of an accountant or a bookkeeper. Okay, so they would have, or your office administrator, whoever's helping you. And the beauty with that is you've got this base foundation already laid. Because what we're talking about with job management in Nextminute is bolting on top of that. Okay, we want to leverage what you've done there already so that we can add more value and ultimately help you track and manage all your jobs and get, paid for what you deserve. And again, that's a really, really good first start. So if I look at in the UK, a lot of people haven't even got to this point yet. So you're ahead of the curve. You're already adopting this stuff. This is just the next logical step to help your business. So what's the solution to understanding job profit, and what does it look like? Okay, kind of generically speaking, when you go out there, there are quite a few different tools out there, which is cool. So you get to have a look at what's out there and get to choose them. But if I was to pick a few things that you should be looking for, these are some of them. So you need something that's going to be able to work on your desktop and also out in the field on your phone or your tablet. And ultimately you want the solution to have either an iOS or Android mechanism for your phone. That just means that you're not constrained to have everyone on one type of device, okay? Understanding your workforce, people come and go. Most people have their own phones, so you want to be able to offer something that's going to work across both. And job management as a holistic thing. Think of this as your online filing cabinet, okay? So you've got all of these bits and pieces happening right now. What I'm suggesting is put them all into one spot, okay? So at any point in time, you can access that information and it's in a nice, succinct and formatted manner. So you need to be able to put all your jobs in one place, build any quotes or estimates, plan out all the work you've got, assign it to all the different people so that everybody knows what they need to do and when. Gives them the opportunity to go in and timesheet back against the jobs they've been working on. That helps you understand those allocation of costs, getting in all your bills to sit against those jobs as well. And then ultimately wrapping up an invoice with all of that information so that you can fire that off and get paid quickly. The more efficient you are with getting your invoices done and the more accurate they are, the more likely you're going to get paid on time. If you've got any contention with invoices because something's not right, that's just going to slow the boat down. So it's really important that you get all these key pieces all into one spot. Then on top of that, what we want to do is ensure that it's all linked in neatly and tidily with your accounting package, whether it's Xero or Myob. So again, we're leveraging the fact that you've already taken that step. Right, so what's interesting is the landscape has actually changed quite a bit, just in the last 5 years even. So when we first started, we integrated through to placemakers so that we could pull bills down directly into our software and accrue them as charges. Since then, a lot of trade suppliers, particularly in New Zealand and Australia, have branched out and connected in directly with these accounting packages. Okay, so 3-4 years ago, this wasn't the case. I'd really, encourage you to go and have a look, check on your trade suppliers that you use, your key ones, and look and see if they've got any way to connect in with Xero or Myob. The reason being is that it's just one less piece of manual entry you have to deal with. And that can then pull in those bills that you've got to pay directly into, say, Xero. They can all sit there and then you can basically deal with them. So as I said, this is just a couple of examples. So Bunnings, Placemakers, Mitre 10, Carters, look, there's many more. They now allow you to go and connect with your accounting packages. And if your trade supplier doesn't, ask them, put a little bit of pressure on them because it's only a matter of time before they do it. And I guess the whole point of this is this is just one extra step from that foundation that you have to start to streamline that information coming through. So dealing with all your bills is a necessary evil. You've got to pay them, but then you've also got to charge them on. So having them connect straight through is really, really key. So that's one aspect of how to get your bills into your accounting package. There's also different software out there that can help you get your bills basically read into or published into Xero Myob. So there are likes of Auto Entry, HubDoc, or Dext. So this is software that you can take a photo of or forward through your bills. They get read in and basically turn up inside Xero Myob, ready for you to look at what you owe for these different bills. Definitely recommend having a chat to your bookkeeper or accountant on this, because if you've got a lot of bills from a lot of different suppliers, this is a really efficient way for you to get that information directly into Xero without having to enter in any data. It basically scans it and then gets it done for you. So if you've got a bit of scale and you're doing lots and lots of jobs and you've got quite a few people working in the business, definitely worthwhile doing a bit of investigation on that, because that's just another way to go and pick up all your bills and get them into Xero. So then what do we do with the bills once they're in there? So Nextminute has the ability to connect in with Xero and Myob and literally pull across those bills back into Nextminute so that you can accrue them up as costs or charges to the different jobs that you've got on the go. Again, no data entry. You're literally just choosing which bills you want to go to which jobs. That way you can produce an invoice alongside with your timesheets, and then you can sync your invoices back to Xero. So it's a really, really nice seamless loop so that you're not having to double enter anything, nor does your bookkeeper or accountant. So it's a really simple and effective way to use that information once you've got it in Xero Myob. And that's something that we're doing that's unique. There wouldn't be very many others who are doing that at the moment. So what does that look like? I mean, basically it's an epic solution, because all of your bills are going to get read straight into, this is just a screenshot of Xero, by the way, going to get read directly in. We're then going to pull that information and use it. No data entry is always a good outcome. So therefore, in Nextminute, we simply open up here, connect into Xero or Myob, and what it does is it lists all the bills that are yet to be reconciled against your jobs that are sitting there. So this is going to effectively help you with all your back costing on your different jobs, and also understanding, where you're at in regards to what you need to charge out if you're doing a charge up type job. Again, no data entry required. We're simply reusing this information, which is already turned up inside your accounting package. Then within Nextminute, you can literally open up that supplier bill and you can see all the different transactions and line items. So you've got all the details sitting in here. So when you're doing any of your invoicing, or you might be on site having a conversation with your customer, you've got that sitting there on your phone against the job, so you can see exactly what bills have come in, and all that information is housed in one spot. And that's really important, because that gives you, that accuracy and that real-time information to be making decisions and having the chats that you need to have along the way. So once you know your costs, obviously you can understand your profit better. So that whole concept of bringing in your bills, that's sort of one part of that cost sort of profile. And once those are all in, look, you're halfway there. So what's the other half? Timesheets. Timesheets are kind of the bane of most people's existence who don't have any software for this. Getting your guys to come in and give you timesheets weekly. If they're paper-based, that's multiple timesheets against multiple jobs for multiple people. And what happens is that's got to happen every single week. It's kind of a relentless, process that'll never stop. So I guess what I'd suggest is get you guys onto some timesheeting, like use Nextminute timesheets. So they can come in here, they can view the jobs that you've allocated them to. They simply come in and record the time that they've spent on each of the different jobs. Behind the scenes, we allocate a labor cost to each of those people, so they don't ever have to choose or even know about their rates. But behind the scenes, we store a cost, what you pay them, and a charge out rate. So that then means whenever they timesheet, all the calculations are done for you. So at any point in time, you know what you owe them in wages and where all these costs are accruing up against your different jobs. So it's very, very simple, and it's a swift way to get control of that stuff. We take it one step further. If you are using payroll within Xero or Myob, again, as I mentioned at the start, we're really big on making sure data is pushed through and across those packages, is we can take the staff timesheets that have entered their timesheets along the way, and we can push that straight through into Xero or Myob, meaning payroll is sitting there. Effectively, it's ready to be reviewed, any final adjustments, and then run. Okay, so there's no data entry on that as well. So that's if you're using Xero payroll or Myob payroll. If you're using some other payroll systems, we can extract the data out, and obviously you can import that in. But just wanted to show you that having that perfect loop between Nextminute and Xero and Myob means that you don't have to enter things twice. You put it in one spot once, and we just feed it around. So it makes things very, very simple. Okay, so when it comes time to invoicing, there's really two methods. You're either doing charge up or you're doing, a fixed price job. Now, if you're doing a fixed price job, you'll have your different payment schedules, and that's fine. So you can lay out what the contract is based on your milestones, the different stages. So getting your invoices out doesn't actually rely on the input of those costs. However, to know if you're winning or losing on a particular job, fixed price, you need to have those costs racked up. So the only way to do that is be fast and efficient with getting your bills accrued against your job and your timesheets. If you can do those two things, you effectively understand back costing in real time inside Nextminute. So when you're issuing out your invoices for your fixed price jobs, you know the profit at that point in time when you're doing it. The other side of it is if you're doing charge up work, effectively you are picking up all of those costs, adding your markup, and then issuing an invoice on the back of those. So once again, the faster and more efficient and accurate you are at getting your bills accrued up against your jobs and your labor components via timesheets, the quicker and easier it is for you to get out those invoices, and the more accurate they are, because you've got all that source data sitting there. So there's no data entry required. All you're doing is you're basically checking through all the different charges that have hit the job, creating an invoice, sending it to your customer, syncing it through to Xero Myob. So again, getting that circular motion going really, really well. When that invoice is paid in Xero, it will then sync across back into Nextminute and tell you that that's been reconciled for payment. So I just want to take a little bit of time here to jump into the product. So I've kind of given you a bit of a view of the fact that you can get your costs or charges really quickly and easily added into Nextminute so that you can build your invoices. What a lot of people do is, if they've seen a few of those things, they're like, well, they've got some common questions that they come up with. And what I thought I'd do is I would step through what these questions are, jump into the product, do a bit of show and tell. And then if there's any questions at the end, we can obviously cover off some more stuff. So these are the 5 most common ones. So firstly, can I hide away parts of Nextminute so my team don't have access? So that's one. So that's talking about roles. Second one is, well, things change. My schedule on this job has shifted or moved or been delayed. What can I do to reschedule them all? What can you do inside Nextminute for that? Third one is, well, that's great. You've got rates sitting against my different workers, but for this job, I want to have a different set of rates than that job because one's for my family, that job, and so I want to charge them less. And on this one here, I've managed to negotiate a higher, markup rate on my materials. How can I do that? Number 4 is around mistakes happen. Costs get added to the wrong job. What can I do to amend this or change this and shift where these costs or charges are so that I can ensure that my invoice that I send out is up to date with the most accurate information. Lastly, how do I see all this stuff? How do I see my current, I guess, ledger of job costs and profit all in one go? So I will talk through all of these and show you how this actually works inside Nextminute to give you a bit of a view of it. Okay, so I'm just going to log in here. Brilliant. So what we're looking at here is Nextminute. I've come in as an administrator, so I get to see everything and do everything. This is all just demo or test data. So the first question is, well, I don't want all my people to see these dollars, and how do I change, or how do I know that I can kind of give them just the level of access that they want? And this is a really important piece to it. So against a job, there's obviously all of this different information, and then within the system, there's all of these jobs. You don't want everyone in your business to see all of this stuff. So we deal with that under admin and under user roles. So firstly, whenever you give anybody access to Nextminute, you can always come in here and view who has access, what their login is, and then obviously what role they've got. Over time, if you ever need to shift someone's role, so they need to be, say, advanced rather than just basic staff timesheeting, you can just come in here and change it. And from the time that you hit save, next time that person refreshes their screen, they're going to have that additional access. So that's the first thing. So you've always got visibility of who's got access to what. But down here, we've got role management. I wanted to touch on this because it's really important that you only give people just what they need so that they can perform their function. The reason why that's important is you cut down the clutter and you make it really, really simple for you to roll the software out. To have someone up and running with timesheeting on our app takes about 2 minutes. So it's that simple. But I'll talk to the roles. At any point in time, you can create your own brand new custom role. Okay, so that's really simple. At any point, you can come in here and have a look at what does this role have. And you can actually come through here and see what is literally turned on and turned off. So if I have a look at this one here, anyone who's got access to this role, they can view jobs, but only the ones that they're assigned to. They can't create any jobs. They've got access to some basic information around photos, notes, and files, so they can play into that and collaborate around information. And same with tasks. They can do timesheets, and that's basically it. Okay, so what that means is you can give quite pinhole access to, say, your apprentice, so they just see the minimum level that they can go and view the jobs that are scheduled to, maybe take some photos or add photos, and then do their timesheets. If you ever need to build out a role, we've got lots of flexibility. So let's say we now want people in this role to view quotes. So I just go and click on enable access, and now anyone in this role can view quotes. Can't see any of the pricing, but they can see all the different materials that have been added onto it. So if they ever need to view that, they can. And then it's just a matter of switching on and off the different levels of functionality you want them to have within each of those roles. So I guess the point here is it's really quick and easy to adjust and amend these roles to suit your business. When you start with Nextminute, we give you sort of 3 prefabricated roles, so you don't have to build them up from scratch. Then all you do is you take them and you change them to suit. And the way that we work is we're more than happy to help you as part of that process, because we want to make sure that it's really fit for purpose for you. So that's the first question. Next question was around, okay, here's my job. We're working away. Something's changed. I need to shift this job and when it starts, as an example, or some of the tasks. So you can always come into our job and come and get a view of all the different tasks, which are those, I guess, stages of the job. You can have as few or as many as you want. In here, you can bulk reschedule them if you like. But my preference is to come into the job planning piece, where you can view all your jobs with the different schedules that are built out. And you can come in here and view in a Gantt style view the job and all the associated tasks and their dependencies. And that's not just for one job. I can see all jobs. And why that's important is it gives me a bird's eye view across all of those different moving parts, so that when I make a decision to shift out one piece of the puzzle, I've got my eye on what that means with other jobs. So if I need to shift this job here and it can't start when it's meant to be here, I can actually drag the whole job out and it's going to shift that job with all the corresponding tasks underneath it. Conversely, I can always shift it back. The other piece is if one of the tasks needs to shift and it's got dependencies, when I shift that task, it will cascade out all of the other associated tasks that relate to it. So what that means is really quickly and easily and in a visual way, you can see what's going on. You can make any adjustments and see those different elements kick out. At any point, you can always click on the actual task itself and go and view what the status of it is, who's assigned to it, and any charges that may have turned up on it. So from this, I guess, Gantt style view, you can be looking at it from a really holistic view, and then you can actually drill straight down to the detail. If you ever need to add any more tasks, you can just do that directly from here, and that will add them down, and then you can shuffle them accordingly. So what this means is you've got kind of one place to go, rather than bits of paper, a calendar here, something's in your head. One place to go, you can view all of this information all together. And I think that's a really effective way to deal with how you deal with schedule changes, which, there's been a lot of that lately. Okay, next piece we're going to talk about here, which is another really common question is, okay, we've got guys, putting in their timesheets and they've got their default labor rates. What if I've got a different charge out rate for job A than I do for job B? So I'll talk to that now. So what we have is in Nextminute, you have a labor rate that you basically assign to each person. So this is their default rate. What do I pay them versus what do I charge them out at? And you can adjust this over time. So that's your default. So anyone who timesheets, so John comes in timesheets, it's going to pick up those different pieces of information. But for different jobs, you may have a different charge out rate, or you may have negotiated a different markup rate for all the materials. So the short answer is yes, you can have job specific rates so that you can actually really customize it out so that you set it up at the start, all the maths is done for you so you know that your costs and charges are correct. So if I come down here on this particular job, I can come and see the job specific rates. This is where I'd edit. So in here, this is going to show me the current markup and sell rates for labor, materials, disbursements, and other charges. So if I wanted to, I could change that to 12%. And what that means is whenever I add a bill to that job, it's going to pick it up the cost and it's going to mark it up by 12% automatically. Why that's good is it means you'll never ever miscalculate or miss a markup on any of the material items. In addition, anyone who logs time against this job, specifically for a charge out job, they're going to be charged out at $70 an hour. So you can actually override the default. And you can even go more granular and actually assign certain people with certain rates. So really, really quite a powerful way to deal with job specific rates. And once you set it up, it's done. And then all the calculations work off the back of that. Now, invariably, the next piece here is like, oh, I've added all these charges to the wrong job, or John timesheeted against the wrong job. I need to move that. How do I do that? Or can I do that? Short answer is yes, you can. And it's really, really simple. And it has to be simple because if it's hard, it just doesn't work. So in Nextminute, at any point in time, you can click on charges for that job. And that's going to show me all the charges that have yet to be billed out. Okay, so I can see them all accruing up. Any bills that have been imported are going to be here as well. Now, if I go, oh, John's timesheeted on the wrong one, or this bill doesn't relate to this job, it should be on another job. It's simply a case of selecting the different charges and going, I want to move you to another job. So I want to move them across to that job. Yes, I do. And that's done. So it's that quick and easy to shuffle things around. That section's updated, so it's removed the whole bill. That timesheet entry has now gone against that job and solved all those costs. My charges on this job are all looking good and accurate, so I can now get on with invoicing. Now that's a really important piece, because I can now see at the point when I'm issuing or about to generate my invoice, I can see my total costs and I can see what my total profit is at that point of issue. Okay, so if I need to make any adjustments, I can, and ultimately I come in here and create an invoice from those charges. So as I said, there's no data entry. Everyone's timesheets have hit this job. All those bills have hit this job. You're ready to create an invoice directly from those charges. So then you're spending more time looking at checking that it's right, making any final adjustments, and then issuing the invoice, rather than going, oh, Gary, I need your timesheets, and then Sarah, I need your timesheets, and then having to rekey them in. And that is the reality of dealing with timesheets if you're not using a digital tool like Nextminute. So yes, you can shift your charges around from job to job. It's really quick and easy. And then it just makes sure that what you're invoicing out is accurate. Okay, so the last piece here is looking at, okay, well, we've got all this information that's coming in. How do I see what my costs are on the job? How am I going on this job financially? And I guess that's a really important piece. So firstly, if you ever want to just get a really top line view of your jobs and I guess how they're going financially, you can just come into the all jobs view, grid view. And this is going to show you all your jobs. It's going to show you what's unbilled, what's total invoice, what your total costs are, and your total profit as at now. So that's in real time. So as timesheets start coming in, this is just basically recalibrating based on that new information. So you've really got your fingers on the pulse on how you're performing with these different jobs. So rather than trying to wash it up at the end, you've got your view on it. So that's a very, very top line view of it. From a reporting perspective, you can drill into the job, and then you can come up into here and have a look at a financial report. Hopefully that's looking big enough. And look, what this is showing is that next level of detail. So in Nextminute, you can create quotes and estimates. What we do in here is we go, okay, well, let's actually take this job, break it down by its components, so that when you start the job and as you're tracking through it, you can see how you're going. So when you forecast out what your labor component is, it gives you a total. As people timesheet on the job, you can see those hours accrue, and then you get to see what's left. Okay, so you get a running, I guess, fuel gauge on how are we going from an estimate compared to our actuals. Then within the job, we break it down by those different items, so labor, material, disbursements, and other costs. We can show you what you quoted, your costs were, your current actual costs as of now when you run this report, cost variances, what your estimated revenue is on this job, what you've invoiced at the moment, what's still to be invoiced, and ultimately what your gross profit is. Now, this report just works by putting in place those things I just talked about. Okay, getting your bills in against your job, getting you guys timesheeting. Two things, and then this report is a click and run, and you can see how you're going on this particular job. So if you're doing a charge up job, that's really important because you're going to see how much money you're making on that based on your charge ups and your markups. Even more important probably is for anyone running a fixed price job, you have your target set and you can be monitoring this really, really carefully to see how are you going. Are you winning or losing? And where are you winning and losing across these different components? I've got one other report I'll just show you which sort of wraps all that stuff up. It's quite a new report actually. It's called the WIP report. So you can run this as an as at or in real time, which means you can retrospectively look at the performance of your jobs. I'll just zoom that in a little bit. Hopefully that'll make it a little bit clearer. So basically what this shows is all of your jobs and then a summation across those jobs on what's the total quoted, estimated costs and all those sorts of things. Across here though, what we do is two really important calculations for you. Now this is both from an accounting perspective, but also from a how are we actually performing perspective financially on these jobs. So we have what's called an unbilled charges total across all the different jobs. And that's basically showing you, as at say the end of the month, how much have we done and not billed. Okay, so that's a really important metric at the end of the month. Just as important is a WIP balance. Now, a WIP balance, work in progress balance, is ultimately going, how much should I have invoiced at this point, given how much effort and costs I've incurred? If you're trying to get the WIP balance and you don't have Nextminute as an example, it is so painful and labor intensive to get all this information together and then run all the calculations. So what we do is we just do it all for you. So I'll really quickly talk across the top here. So for every job, you then get to see how you're going on each of those components. We then calculate for you the percentage complete, which is a dollar value on your costs versus your total revenue that you expect. We then give you a target invoice based on that percentage, which is how much should I have invoiced at this point in time versus how much have I actually invoiced. And then what it does is it calculates your WIP balance. Now, why this is really important is this understands how you're performing on that job. So if you've got a large positive number, that means you've been paid a lot of money for that job and not yet done the work. Okay, so that means that's good. So you feel like you've got lots of money, but the risk is that you've still got to go and do all the work. If you've got a large negative number, that means you're yet to take the costs that you've incurred and invoice them to their full extent, which means you're effectively cash flowing that job. Now that's okay when the number's not too big, but when that number gets big, that's quite risky because that means you've got a lot of costs that you've paid for and you've yet to actually physically invoice the customer for. So it's a lot of money sitting on the table. A good scenario is when you're sitting around zero or a slightly positive number, that means that you're running that job financially pretty bloody good. So that's what that's all about. So we've got all that information. It works it out for you. You just click a button as I did before. And if you ever need to, you can extract it out to do some more reporting over the top of it. But that's a summary of all those different components. I'd love to hear if you've got any questions out there or you'd like me to talk to some other aspects. I'll just exit out of there.
I just want to say, Dave, we've just been getting some amazing feedback on some of our other channels, just saying how great this has been as a visual aid just to walk through and how comprehensive a session it's been. So,
cool.
You know, people are streaming in from other platforms and it is working on LinkedIn, which is great news. Yeah, so we've just we'll just waffle on here for a second and allow people to kind of pop some questions in if you do have them, is often you're kind of just paying attention and then you're not typing. And while we do that, I'm just going to jump from platform to platform. And look, just another comment just going, so good.
Well, I mean, it's what I really enjoy about this stuff is it's actually simple stuff that's in play already. It's just putting it all in one spot. I mean, we didn't invent timesheets, we didn't invent bills. All we're doing is just trying to put it together really neatly and tidily. So it's just bloody easy to use. I mean, if it's easy to use, then people get the benefit. So that's what it's all about. Just trying to leverage these common processes and put them together into one nice, succinct platform.
We love that. Because so many folks, they're just losing themselves in admin. I mean, just how much time goes into admin is crazy. And that's less time that you're out there selling. That's less time that you're out there, like quoting jobs or doing whatever you're doing, getting yourself out there. So like this is a great opportunity for people to get some of that precious commodity called time back.
Well, look, one of my best friends is a builder and I literally went round to his place last night and had a beer on a Sunday afternoon in a chat. And he's sitting there going, I've got to do all my paperwork tonight. And he's like my number one target, to come on board. And
you're like, wait a second.
He's so stuck in his way. And he's sitting there going, I've got paperwork to do. I'm just like, mate, it doesn't have to be that hard. And he's actually taken some good steps and moved he's on Xero. And it's like, he's just got one more step to take. And then he doesn't have to worry, like if I could cut that Sunday afternoon down to, half an hour rather than 3 hours,
Yeah.
That's so satisfying.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think that the hardest part is getting yourself to change the system, because it seems so daunting at the time. Having to change systems, learn a new system, or doing all that. But one of the great things that I've noticed with so many tools these days is they do have a lot of supportive staff that will help you integrate your stuff right in. And really, like, although there's some extra work possibly on the front end, on the back end, you're just saving so much time. And what's the value of time? There's been some quotes flying around here on Digital Boost that's been like, Kiwis will often spend a lot of time to save money, and whereas like other cultures might spend money to save time. And so sometimes it's just also changing that mentality of, some platforms might cost things or depending on what it is, but what is the value of it on the other end.
And I guess the thing for us is we totally get it. We've been doing this long enough. I've talked to thousands of builders and tradies, and it's like, I know it can feel daunting. And that's why I kind of started with that whole, you're good at adopting technology, because you are, but a lot of them don't feel like they are.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. I guess I just implore people to go in and take a look. And we're here to help. And I think that's a really important message here is we know that it can feel daunting, but we want to help you through that process. And if you get to the end of it and it's not for you, that's cool, but you would have learned something. And I think if at a minimum, if you can take it, half an hour, 45 minutes to have a demo or jump in and have a trial, I think you'll see that life can be a lot simpler with Nextminute connecting all this stuff together, because I just use timesheets as the perfect example. I mean, when you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 people working for you, each of them's got to give you timesheets. Each of those timesheets have got to go to the different jobs. And if that's not coming in digitally, you've got to literally key that in. And if they're giving it to you on a Sunday night for Monday payday, there's your Sunday.
Yeah.
And if I think about those quick wins or the big benefits that I see, is just getting your team into timesheet. And if that's all you use it for, you're winning.
Yeah.
And I guess we understand that you don't want to go in there and just do everything all at once. So we've got a really cool team who are dedicated and understand this landscape to carefully take you through and get those quick wins, get the things sort of in your business that make the most sense now, deal with other bits 3, 6 months time. So it's that path to maturity. And some businesses are all for it. They're ready to go on everything. But some are like, I just want my jobs and just want my guys timesheeting. Awesome. We can help you get there. And then in 6 months time, we'll have a chat and see if you want to bring on quotes now.
Yeah.
I
love that. I love the non-pressure, I guess. I was a sole trader. I was a sole trader, and I also have owned my own businesses and stuff like that in the past. And I think sometimes some organizations can be really pushy, and I guess that can turn you off. So it's so lovely. I feel like we've had a lot of really lovely people come on here that, yourself included, that what I really like about, I think it's an Aotearoa kind of thing as well. It's like, it's the culture itself is not really aggressive in that way, and it is really supportive. And so
I think that's a really interesting comment. We're just over in the UK, doing some stuff over there, and to a degree, sometimes New Zealand businesses do a bit of a disservice to themselves because they don't sell themselves. But we're quite modest and we'll understate stuff. But yeah, look, it is a really cool product. And as I said, it's working everywhere because it's the same problems. It's like, we didn't invent this stuff. This is like, we just put it together in a cool package. That's it. And so whether you've got a small business or a large one, I mean, we've got landscapers, I've got engineers, I've got people doing roofing. It's the same stuff. Builders was just kind of where we started. That was kind of our sweet spot because they were really quite underserved on a lot of fronts when it came to technology.
Tools, like digital tools, really underserved in this industry. And I can say that by just the amount of sessions I've done out of, say, almost 300 sessions, the amount of tools that are actually related to the trades construction industry are not as many as, some other industries. So, yeah.
And I'd also, suggest reaching out to bookkeepers. They're a really cool community who are based around fundamentally helping these small and medium-sized businesses deal with all that admin that a lot of people just don't want to do, right? And a lot of them are now branching into this concept of being app advisors as well, because they've already put in place Xero or Myob. They understand your business and they're helping with payroll. They can often help with this next piece. So worth talking to them. If you don't have a bookkeeper, that's fine, but just there's if you do have one, ask them, what would you suggest? What are different ways that I can get better at doing my timesheets or getting my invoices out or understanding back costing? Because what's happening in that industry is they're really broadening their horizons. They're not just bookkeepers. And in fact, quite interestingly, they're quite a lot more operationally focused. Because they're actually inside these businesses. They know the name of John's dog and the fact that his daughter's going to school on Tuesday, and they are plugged in. And so definitely worthwhile reaching out to them, because they can help with the whole concept of coming on board and starting this. A lot of the time they can do some of that front loading as well, as you've mentioned, getting started, because once it's started, it's a way.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, well, this is a great place for us to finish today. No questions, because obviously it was just like so well thought out. Here's your contact details, folks, if you need to get in contact. And we always like to hear your feedback at support@digitalboost.co.nz. We are always looking to have more content on the site that you would like to see in these sessions. So please let us know if you what you need so that we can put it in place, especially going into the new year. This is a hot topic for me, Dave. So, so I'm really keen for people to give feedback in that way so that I can start like creating the future.
And look, there's so, that was really a broad brush across the top. Just reach out to us, go and take a look. You can book a demo with us directly. You can sign up for a free trial. We really like doing screen sharing sessions. So like I was running then, we like doing that personal experience and in that kind of hand-to-hand combat is still the number one way to do it. So we don't just throw you a bunch of links and PDFs. We actually handhold you through that process. And so I can't stress it enough that we're here to help you as part of that. And not just once if you chose to go with us, but forever. We look after our customers and we want to make sure they're getting the most out of it. So please reach out and we'd love to have a chat. And if there are any other questions, feel free to just jump on our website and flick them through, because more than happy to help.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Dave. Have a wonderful day. I know it looks like it's kind of sunny where you are.
And Amari, thank you so much. The sun has started coming out. It was hosing out with rain this morning. I'm in Whangamata, a little coastal town. Very lucky to be here, but yes, the sun has started to come out. So
I hope you get out in it, and wherever any of y'all are there in Aotearoa, if you can get out into some sunshine today, it does us good. Taking care of our mental health, especially as we're still in this whole, some areas are still really in a lockdown. So I want to make sure that we're all taking care of our mental health. And I just want to put a reminder out there. I hope you don't mind, Dave, just to finish off this session, that we do have a partnership with Clearhead, which is a mental health app. You have free access to it if you are a Digital Boost registrant. So if you're registered on the site, you have free access to this app. It gives you access to short videos, little techniques, coping techniques, breathing techniques. You can listen to people's stories. You can contact health advisors. There's so much there. You can listen to a podcast that I did with Angela Lim, the founder of Clearhead, on the app Digital Boost Live. If you want to hear a little bit more about Clearhead and how it might be a good service to you, and just the way that they the thoughts behind what they created. It was a really cool interview. So check it out. Take care of yourself, because, we care and we're here to help. So do reach out if you need us, and reach out to Dave if you're interested in that. Thanks again, Dave, so much for this valuable session. It was fantastic. You nailed it.
Absolute pleasure, Anna-Mari. Thank you. So enjoy the rest of your day, everybody who've joined.
Wonderful day.
And thanks again, Anna-Mari. Brilliant. You're a great host, and I'd love to do another one in the time.
Oh, I'd love to have you on again. That's fabulous. Let's hook that up. Yeah. Ka kite, everyone.